And in the context of doing that, the family have went to the Police Ombudsman's office, the new institution set up to give confidence for policing in the context of the peace process and transition from an old force, the RUC, to what supposedly be a new force, the PSNI, the Police Service of Northern Ireland. And in the context of doing that, the Ombudsman's office has been inundated with approximately 360 cases, similar nature, killings by the British Army and killings by the RUC, in which prima facie evidence exists that would warrant prosecutions that never took place, and the families want the answers. His office, that office, was established as part of the Peace Accord. Nuala alone was its first post holder. She effectively looked at cases, but she was stymied too. Her hands were tied in the fact that she was denied resources to conduct specific investigations. She managed to publish a report into the activities of a loyalist paramilitary group that killed over 20 people. And the people involved in those killings were agents of the police. One of them, Mark Haddock, was paid £90,000, and as he killed each person, his salary had went up. It started off at £5,000, and by the end of it was 90. That was the reward. He was never prosecuted, and her report was scathing. So, the next post holder in that office was Al Hutchinson, and he effectively rewrote reports to take collusion findings out, despite what the investigators independently in that office found. And now Michael Maguire's that ombudsman, and the purse strings have been pulled from underneath him. The police now tell us they can't find any documents, they can't trace witnesses, and they can't find the soldiers responsible. And this goes on and on and on, and it could be repeated numerous times. We found out there was a specialist unit connected to the police called the Weapons, Explosives and Research Centre, and it fabricated ballistic reports. This is proven in court. We have found out that in the new police service there's been the creation of a specialist unit tasked with providing to the courts documentation. There's several million documents. Quite a significant amount of them are newspaper accounts of what took place. The police classified those as top secret and have spent the last couple of years declassifying them. It's a stalling game. So the peace process has not delivered the truth for families. It has failed families. And that's why Martin McGuinness did what he did this time last year. That's why he pulled the plug and he called time on unionist arrogance and British intransigence, despite agreements not being implemented to deal with the past. So, we're asking Irish America to put on the same push and the same drive that was given to the peace process and the impetus around that in 1998. People think in 1998 that the heavy lifting has been completed, but it hasn't. We have mechanisms that can deliver for families, but we have the British government undermining them at every turn and every opportunity. Constantly undermining the search for truth. A sovereign government that says it upholds the rule of law is not upholding the rule of law when it concerns killings it was involved in and it carried out. Let me give you an example just of one incident. In East Tyrone, outside Shannon, a woman was killed on the 8th of May 1994 in an attack on her home. Her name was Roseanne Mullen. She lived with her sister-in-law and her brother. She wasn't married, and she had several nephews. Two of her nephews were former Republican activists and at the time were members of Sinn Féin. They had both been arrested, and one of them was interrogated and asked by the British, would he work for them as a spy to undermine the peace process? And this was in an interrogation centre at Gough Barracks. He didn't speak. And on his last day of 3 days being held in the interrogation centre, a person entered the room and had a suit on him and carried a case and told him he was a representative of Her Majesty's British government and that he would offer him a sum of money to work for him, and if he didn't accept the offer that had been put to him by the police over the previous 2 days, that they would murder his wife. 3 weeks later his home was attacked and his aunt was killed, 76-year-old woman. 3 weeks after that, a local farmer, removing hedgerows with a bucket of a tractor or a digger, unearthed a cable, and when he pulled that cable it went several hundred yards, and in that